Good morning. How are you doing? It's Thursday, 22nd of December, 2022, and the Smart Means Business does kick off with the news recap of what was happening in our previous bulletin of business today. And of course, that is when we sweep you into more of the business updates that are coming in. I'm Jerome Paul Soko. This is Smart 24 TV that you're gladly watching this early morning. It's 7:06. And of course, we are here to drive your business. But of course, as we drive your business, we keep informing you that driving your business is important. But for you as an individual, you're always reminded that there is an opportunity for you to kickstart your investment journey. That means to be part of the business journey itself. How do you do so? Is by engaging in investing in intangible assets such as bonds, securities, and purchasing of stocks. And there's only one platform that will make that possible for you, and that is none other than Zabu. Zabu, a platform by Altex East Africa, says you can use the USSD code *292# if you are on MTN, and you will definitely be welcomed onto the dashboard of Zabu, where you will register with your national identification number. And after registration, in the next 24 hours of that, you'll be able to invest in bonds and securities with Zabu. Zabu is a platform that is there and dedicated for you to quickly start off your investment journey with only a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. The opening time is 8:15 a.m. and closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Do remember, these markets are only closed on weekends and during public holidays. Otherwise, Altex East Africa is telling you to do something new always, because it is very important for you to keep up to speed with the business world by engaging in different things that will challenge you more and leave you off your comfort zone. And now switching it off into our business update this morning, we kick-started off with the economic growth and taxation, whereby the growth has been slow, but hoping to increase next year, according to some of the experts within the economic sector of Uganda. But well, when you look at the rate of taxation, the taxman has been able to collect some good money. If you remember very well, the first 2 months of the collection in the first quarter of the financial year 2022-2023, Uganda Revenue Authority managed to hit its target, and apparently also went into more of what you would call a deficit. Now, at the end of it all, you get to realize that this is an overshoot, but regardless of the fact that the economy is struggling, there are key points that clearly show that we will be able to at least recover from that particular one. As you look at this, over the years, only 12% has been collected in regards to collection of the taxes. But in this particular update, we are getting it from the key sector of the economy, that is from Bank of Uganda, as well as we look at more of what is happening from Uganda's economic space. How best are we going to live through as we head into the year 2023? Let's get this in our first update this morning.
The amount of taxes you collect is really a function of the level of your GDP. So in the situation that we've been in, we have been operating at below our optimal capacity, below the trend ever since the outbreak of COVID. So our growth rate has been really constrained. So it means that the nominal revenue collections have not been growing as fast because we have been below the growth trend. So for example, we had years when it was about 3.8. Last financial year, it was 4.7. And this financial year, we're only expecting it to grow anywhere between 5 to 5.3. And we can only get back to our long-term trend of 6 to 7% in the financial year 25-26. So if the amount of money that you are collecting is a ratio to GDP, it means that because of us operating at below our long-term trend, we are not collecting sufficiently revenues to meet our expenditure needs. And this have been occasioned by the COVID-19 and also the impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. So one of the reasons that the fiscal deficit has kind of like increased is likely because of that, because your revenue collections are not growing as fast as your expenditures in the light of these challenging times. So, and that's why partly we've had the IMA program to help us support with support on budget, on the budgetary financing. So I think that's all I have to say about economic growth and tax.
Historically, our collections have been below our potential. When you look at how much we collect from the goods and services we produce, for every 100 shillings that is produced into this economy, we've been collecting about between 12 to 14%. So, yet our potential is anywhere between 18 to 20%. So there is a gap that we have actually not been collecting as a percentage of GDP. I know the deputy governor said we have grown less, but still when you look at our GDP, we should have at least had as a percentage a higher number. So that's why we formulated the domestic revenue mobilization strategy, which says that each year we should strive to collect at least an extra 0.5 percentage points of GDP to add to what we have already collected. So the medium-term revenue strategy has a number of measures that we must take. And of course, one of them is the review of the tax expenditures, that is the exemptions, tax incentives that are there. Our calculation is that about 2.1 percentage points of GDP is lost in tax expenditures. So we have had the tax expenditure rationalization framework to try and study what these exemptions are really bringing in. We are having a loss of revenue, but are they also contributing to social welfare? Are they contributing to employment? Are they contributing to investments? So would investments have gone on without them? So that is the whole purpose of this tax expenditure framework. And we have a rationalization plan where we think that going forward, we shall be reducing these tax expenditures by 0.2 percentage points of GDP per year.
Well, has our economic growth been affected by the rate of taxation, or it is something that we can check on the other way around? Sometimes you get to ask all these questions, but for instance, if you were to look at how the taxman's point of view is that in most cases, they will still have to ask taxes. They will still ask for taxes because any business that opens has to render taxes to the taxman in any way possible. Because for the allocation of fundings within different sectors of the economy, you get to realize that with taxation, it has to be very possible that you and I have to be paying these taxes. More so in a situation when we are business people, then that means these are things that we need to be following up at the end of it all. Well, for the business community, we all believe that 2023 may be a good year, a positive one. But however, some of the forecasters do believe it's also going to be one that we should be looking at as a tough one, not one that is going to be easy to crack. It won't be an easy nut to crack if you're to look at some of the possibilities that may be attached to the same matter as we're heading into 2023. It is just a week to 2023 when we will be welcoming it over here in the whole country, and not only the whole country, I would say globally, is it's just a week so that we welcome 2023. But looking at 2022, high hopes were there because every time the year starts up, everyone is always thinking about it. Everyone is creating room by setting up goals and setting up plans to see that they pass through the year more effectively, and they can pass through the year in a way that is at least more positive, that is clearly going to show you that, well, you are, as an individual, this is going to be very helpful and very fundamental for your growth. But besides that, as we continue to look through certain things and try to mobilize for taxation within the country, you get to realize that we also think it is wise of us as the business community to think positive, which will also help us be more resilient ahead of the times that actually becoming so hard. There's a different transition within the world. Economic times are changing. You look at the digital transition that has shaped up the entire world. These are some of the things that you look at And hopefully that sometimes things may not go on as planned, but we always have to be very, very positive in the way we do things. Yes, of course, there it is. But besides that, now that's it for our first update this morning. Let's get into our press review and see what is making headlines from the world of print media as well. And with the print media, have Daily Monitor and the New Vision. Daily Monitor first with a headline saying the economy is struggling. Within the lines, gloomy Christmas. Many Ugandans are staring at a dull festive season occasioned by an economy that is doing badly. Amid reports that the government missed its revenue collection target for last financial year by 1 trillion shillings. Now, when you look at the growth rate here, we do have GDP growth rate declined to 4.7% in financial year 2021 to 2022 from the 6.4% in financial year 2018 to 2019. Then the trade deficit, there has been an increase in trade deficit of about $5.6 million between August 2021 and September 2022, with the country realizing only $4.7 million from its exports and importing $10.3 million. That is a slight increase in trade deficit, $5.6 million. Then the debt stock, 5.3, that is 53.1% of an increase in there from the status. The public debt stood at $20.98 billion US dollars. That is approximately 79 trillion Ugandan shillings. That is as of June 2022. Now, following up also, and there is also a projection that this is likely to peak at 53.1% by the end of financial year 2022 to 2023, if you are to look at the debt stock within the country. Now, also on the other hand, back to work is, according to Daily Monitor, President Museveni rallies Ugandans to embrace business. There is a pictorial where President Museveni was with officials shortly before commissioning the first phase of the Mpondwe Rubiriha border export zone market. That is at the Pondwe one-stop border post in Kasese district as of yesterday. Now, there's also an interview on an expert's view of what newsrooms need to do to remain relevant in this new era, following the fact that you look at the media houses in Uganda laying off quite a number of workers. This is another report coming in from here. Then also, there is a report regarding a Ugandan woman who has been arrested in India with 2.3 billion worth of drugs. That is another detailed story that is coming in from the Daily Monitor. Then in the other stories, Kampala City Council Authority is seeking 1 trillion Ugandan shillings to rebuild the dilapidated roads. At least 360 kilometers of city roads have outlived their service within the CBD and outskirts of the city. So CCA does believe that with 1 trillion Ugandan shillings, they will be able to maintain and as well work upon some of the other roads by at least clearing and setting up various others. Then also, the International Monetary Fund is said to give the government of Uganda 870 billion Ugandan shillings for economic recovery. And the fund is said to be discussed and approved by the IMF executive board in line with the IMF 3-year extended credit facility arrangement of $1 billion US dollars. That is about 3.6 trillion Ugandan shillings approved by the IMF on June 28, 2021. So there is also police is investigating on Mbale Industrial Park fire. This is another big concept coming in from the situation that happened a few hours back. Now, besides that, we take our eyes into the New Vision as NSSF members get discounts on building materials. The interministerial meeting called for Byaragaba's contract to be renewed in the other round of the NSSF saga. Now, besides that, President Museveni commissions the Mpondwe one-stop border post, also the New Vision highlighting it here this morning. Then the festive fever, transport fares rising by day. Every other day there is an increment on the transport fare to different destinations as most of the people are shooting for the greatness of heading back home. And of course, do remember some of the taxi operators and transport operators do say that the reason as to why this is so is only because of the fact that during this period, most people are moving to town Most people are moving out of town, heading to their different villages and heading to different regions, and yet the number of those coming back to town during this period is limited. So that is why they tend to increase, and also the fuel prices haven't been that easy for some of those particular ones. Now, also, as I've apparently given you more of this one, the Christmas fever fares are rising day in, day out. Now, this is the fact most of the areas have already increased by around 70, by the increase by 10,000 each day, and the other way around. Now, lastly, from the New Vision, the European Union has approved a 232 billion Ugandan shillings fund for climate change response. That is according to the Kanata, who was addressing youth at the EU offices in Kampala. And so that is more from the New Vision and the Daily Monitor. And that is it for the press review this morning. All right, now, well, of course, as we continue to give you more updates, is the fact that you get to realize that now we switch our eyes to the traffic updates to see how the flow is around Kampala. What route would you choose to use at this particular morning that does not look so busy as of yet? When you look at through the different suburbs of Kampala, you'll come to realize that some of the areas are not yet that busy, but well, where our cameras are centered now at Ginger Road, it does say otherwise. For example, vehicles that are coming in from Gaba Namuongo side industrial area do clearly show you that it's going to be a busy one for the people who are living in from that area, or for the people who are using that exact road. The borders already hit the road. As you can see now, everyone is now trying to catch up those last few hours of the festive season. And for those who are still working, of course, there are companies that are still working, organizations that are still working. So this is the rightful time that you can definitely see as to why most of them are already operating on the road, and they've already hit the road. So Ginger Road is one of those particular routes that is always tight, with the fact that traffic congestion starts off as early as 7 a.m. But for the vehicles that are actually leaving Kampala, heading out of Kampala, as of now, not too busy. As you can see, that particular lane of that, it is the fact that it's only the borders that are leaving Kampala heading to Bweyogere side. But most probably, most of the people have been delayed by the fact that there are traffic lights, and it eases the flow of traffic. Not so busy as of now for most probably for anyone who knows the traffic that comes in at Ginger Road, but the flow is moving on so well, with the fact that the traffic lights were once faulty a few weeks back, but now they are moving on and operating so well. At the end of it all, that is where you can see that there are very few traffic officers employed as of now that have been deployed on that road as of now. But well, the traffic flow is moving on swiftly, and vehicles are heading to their different directions. And of course, do remember, as you're moving out of your house, besides the traffic update and which route you need to use, remember that this festive season, it will not be so good for you to enjoy your festive season or to celebrate the festive season by staying indoor, or by staying in custody of the police, because at the end of the day, a lot of things are going to be checked. Once the traffic officer gets you, they have to check for your work, for your driving license, they have to check for your insurance, and then they also have to check for the fact that whether your vehicle has been receiving a monthly service. All those things are supposed to be looked at the end of it all. So do not drink and drive. Also make sure you maintain and also make sure that you foster the road signs and safety guidelines that have been put in place, because now, due to the festive season, not everyone is driving so well. People are driving recklessly. People do not care about it because of the the mood that they're in, the anxiety and the kind of tension that has been created by the pressures of the festive season. So do remember, as you're driving, these are things that you should be having at the back of your mind, that you need to be very cautious on the road so that you do not harm anyone close to you, or you do not harm those that you love most, or anyone who is actually also trying to earn a living at the end of it all. So you shouldn't not be the reason as to why someone's life comes to an end during this festive season celebration. So we should not be accountable, but we should be definitely accountable for the safety of others. And there you have it from the traffic updates. That is Ginger Road for you. Not yet too busy, but of course there are people who have already woken up to go and chase that paper at the end of it all. This is Smart Means Business. When we do return after the break, we shall be having Karibu East Africa and the SMB International News. Stick around with me. I do have plenty coming your way. Good morning.